What's up, everybody? It's your man, Pat on the Can. Welcome back to Cinema Ave, episode 10. Woo! I'm Pat. As you know, Pat on the Can.
He's stupid, and I'm Kyle.
And I'm Paul. I'm Kyle's father-in-law.
The coolest person here.
My young, attractive father-in-law.
Did he say unattractive or young attractive?
Young attractive.
Oh, thank you. Okay, just get that.
His phone number is...
Seriously.
You have to drive me home, so I can't say that.
Yeah, exactly. You got that right. Yes, the young and attractive father-in-law.
There you go. You see him. Let's take long walks on the beach and everything. Here he is.
That's right.
So, yeah, this is episode 10, so we're, celebrating today. 10 episodes. And you guys stayed with us to see his face.
You dealt with Pat for 10 episodes.
So for that, you guys should get an award.
You should.
Out of Kyle's money. He's going to Venmo.
I would say out of Pat's money, but he has none.
Nah, I sure don't. Nope. I'm not going to lie. Broke as shit. This doesn't hurt my feelings. It's facts. Oh, yeah. Shout out to Upper Decker Steve. You're great. If you ask me one more time about a fucking episode, I'm going to put my foot in your ass, and then I'm going to get Mike Tyson to come to your house.
Also, if you yell at me while I'm watering my flowers one more time, I'm going to have Pat put a foot in your ass.
Damn right.
Now, who's this?
Our neighbor.
Oh, your neighbor.
Upper Decker Steve.
Upper Decker Steve.
Yeah.
How about he showed up at the party, right?
He's bald. He looks kind of like me.
Oh, yes, I've met him before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Attractive looking guy, because he looks kind of like me.
If you say so, sure.
Yeah, that makes you, sleep at night.
Yeah.
Is he the one with the little dog?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
And with the little kid.
The little wide
with
receiver?
the little kid, yes.
That dog's a wide receiver. That dog's a wide
Oh,
receiver.
absolutely.
Hands down.
And he's like, he does not like to drink.
Water.
No, not
water or alcohol.
Water.
He likes to drink alcohol. Pat sucks at his job, guys.
Pat was the only one doing the job.
Well, Pat knew he was going to knock it over inevitably, so let's set it up so it's normal. You're going to have some weird feedback or some bullshit going on right now. That's okay. We don't care.
Appreciate you. You son of a bitch. That's it. I'm voting him off the show.
You can't put me off the show.
I can do what the fuck I want.
Who's going to post it?
Damn. Who's going to film it?
Me. I have a camera.
Yeah, you do?
I have a phone.
Huh? I mean, phones nowadays are better. They're good.
Yeah.
Who's going to edit it?
I'll edit. I'll just post it the way it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, good luck with views and everything.
There's flies in here.
I wore my wrong shirt. It should have been the zebra stripes.
Yes. Because he's the referee.
Nice.
If you didn't understand the reference, bet.
I got that.
Because you're stupid.
Are you talking to them or are you talking like...
I'm talking to you because you're stupid.
I was going to try to celebrate episode 10 with you, but now you can go home.
All right, so go ahead.
Get out!
Segue into something. Go ahead.
You want me to segue?
Since you couldn't do it.
All right, so... Hello, sir.
Hello.
Segue indirection.
Hello.
How's life?
Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. But I have to say, these past 48 hours have been a bit melancholy for...
Well, he's been here for the last 48 hours, us trying to set up.
Right, exactly.
Just to be clear.
In addition to that, the fact that I've been melancholy because I've been waiting the past 48 hours, we've had a couple of untimely passings in the cinema world, especially in the mafia genre. We just lost Tony Sirico.
I think it's Sirico.
According to that little woman on my phone that I Googled, she said Sirico.
According to the little woman that was on The Sopranos.
We'll let you decide amongst yourselves.
There you go.
Okay? No offense to him, but,
But offense.
But offense, okay. And yesterday, we found out that the iconic James Caan had passed away. And that gets me right here. Sonny Corleone. I mean...
So
I had to watch The Godfather again for the 89th time yesterday.
Favorite movie? Is that one of your favorites?
It is my favorite drama.
Okay.
Absolutely, my favorite drama.
So I just want to let you know.
With Goodfellas a close second.
I was going to say I thought Goodfellas was more.
Oh, forget it. Well, let's put it this way: if either one of those movies are on, I'm toast. I'm done for the weekend. I'm not moving off the couch.
Okay.
I don't care how many times I've seen it.
I respect that.
And in addition, we got to give a little shout out to Ray Liotta because he passed away. Yep. All the mafia guys are like,
they're all taking a hit.
They're all, exactly. They're all taking a hit. They're all sleeping with the fishes. So, a little toast to the three of them.
This is strictly soda.
Yeah. And, hopefully Al Pacino and De Niro.
Oh my God!
You know, just...
Don't jinx them. Don't jinx them.
There's no jinxing. Come on. Hey, hold on.
Save them.
They're all old.
Yeah, they are up there though.
Okay, they're up there. You know, but
we also didn't do tits and S, so tits and S. There we go.
Okay, I just caught on to that. So anyway, yeah. So
we've done it for years.
God bless them, and yeah, it's.
Yeah,
but also, great Segui.
That was great.
He's been here for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and he figured it out.
Look, man, even Superman has a weakness. All right, I'm Superman.
You have 500.
Your face is one of them. I'm going to call your mom. I'm going to ask her why.
Your face is a weakness?
I'm going to go and say, what happened? You can tell me.
Your face is a weakness.
Yeah, look at it.
Yeah. And that the mustache is coming in fantastic.
Right. You got that
very
Quasimodo there. You like
Goose, you mean from
like a cop.
Yes.
The Top Gun.
You look like a cop right there. You want to stop and give out tickets. That's what you look like right now because you got the mustache.
I was looking from Reno 911. So people thought that this was like inspired by Maverick, which is a new Top Gun movie, which I had not seen yet.
I haven't either. I heard it was really good.
I have not, and I will admit,
Amy saw it.
She saw it. She saw it without me. Go figure.
It was Father's
Day. It was Father's Day, so that's fine. But I have to admit, I was never like a big fan of the original Top Gun movie, but I do. You know, Steph agrees with that over there. Hey,
Steph? It's not as good as people make it out to be.
You talk about the first one?
The first one.
But I hear that the second one is phenomenal.
I've heard that Maverick.
So I would actually give it a chance. I would give it a chance. Yeah.
But I've also been told you have to see it in theaters, which at this point that's not going to happen.
Why?
We'll just see it in theaters because of the sound. That it needs to be seen in theaters. So it's not going to happen for us at this point. It's been too long. We'll just watch on the TV at home. We get a sound bar. It's not going to be the same, but it'll be okay.
Yeah.
We just watched the first Top Gun for the first time 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I haven't seen
something like that. We had never been interested because I'm not a fan of Tom Cruise.
I like Tom Cruise.
Not as an actor. He's a phenomenal actor. As a person.
Well, you got to put the Scientology aside.
Right, and I've recently been able to separate the person from the actor.
I feel the same way about Robert De Niro, I have to say.
Really?
Apparently Robert De Niro is a dick.
Robert De Niro, and again, like, you know, we're not talking politics or anything. I don't agree with his politics. I don't like him as a person in that aspect, but he's one of my favorite actors. I'm not going to, like, not see Goodfellas for the 432nd time because of his politics, you know?
And that's exact.
And that's it. It is exact. Yeah. Well, no, I was off by 2.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's all right.
My whole thing is, like, I feel like sometimes, like, actors, like, people will see an actor or whatever, and after maybe get, like, an attitude with them, they're like, that guy's the worst person. I'm not saying you guys are doing that, but I feel like they're just like us, and maybe they had a bad day. You get what I'm saying? Like,
there's a lot of bad days with some of these actors.
You're right. You're right.
It's different when you have multiple people making the same claim. So, like an Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh yeah, her she's horrible individual.
I've heard nothing but bad things about her. Where, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Tony's brother-in-law, Janice's husband, in Sopranos.
Oh, Bobby Bacala?
Yes, yeah. Bobby Bacala.
Steven Shrippa.
Yes. Yeah. He has said, so he used to work in Vegas, and he booked a bunch of, like, comedy acts. He had Chris Rock and Eddie Murphy and all those, like, before they were huge, he got them spots in Vegas. And Ellen DeGeneres was one of them. And he said that the only person he's ever gone up to after the fact, after they've gotten big, and they've blown him off, was Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah, I heard about her.
Where he had gone up, and he was like, hey, I'm not sure if you remember, he just wanted to see how you're doing, checking up on you, and she looked at, his words were basically, I'm paraphrasing, she looked at me like I was a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, you get that impression about certain people. I mean, obviously, you're going to get that impression from what you read on the internet and you know the media outlets. I would say another example is Alec Baldwin. I respect him as an actor.
Yes.
As a human being, I do not respect him, and I've seen it firsthand. Like I've Amy and I, Amy being my girlfriend, we went to. Shout out to Amy. We went several years ago to the Match Game tapings in New York. I mean, he was the host of Match Game. And just by, like, watching him, I mean, he was all right as a host, but you could just tell by his mannerisms and just the way he talked to everybody, it just, like, he, you know, he was, 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 he like his.
He felt better than everybody else.
He felt better than everybody else. Exactly.
By the way, Match Game, fantastic show. Richard Dawson.
Match Game was my favorite. Absolutely, it is my all-time favorite game show. All-time favorite game show. All time. Love it.
So Richard Dawson did Family Feud. Who was the one that did Match Game?
That was Gene Rayburn.
Gene Rayburn. Those two were phenomenal.
All right. Now, this goes back to when I was a little kid. I used to, like, when I would, my grandmother would watch me. We would watch, at the time, all the game shows were on in the afternoon.
That was a channel for a while.
Well, yeah, I mean, you still have the Game Show Network,
but
I mean, thing? Oh yeah, and Buzzer. So if you want to ever catch like reruns of these shows, Buzzer I think is the one that actually has them all. But the game shows were very prominent and popular back in the '70s. So you had game shows like the Match Game, Hollywood Squares. You had
I like The Price is Right.
Price is Right. Yeah. I mean, Price is Right is still going strong. Yeah. Started in 1972 and it's still going strong.
Drew Carey.
Drew Carey. Yeah. But yeah, Match Game was like for me as a little kid, like just was not a miss, and it was the number one rated show.
I loved watching that with my grandmother, and
it was so politically incorrect, and everyone was sitting there smoking their cigarettes, drinking their whiskey, and just like
whiskey sounds good.
And I mean, very, very, especially the early episodes. Very politically incorrect.
So there were certain people on Match Game that were always right. Richard Dawson was one.
Yes.
He was always right. And who was the woman, the like 70-year-old woman smoking her cigarette?
That was Brett Summers.
Yes.
She was top center.
She was always right. She was always right.
You had Brett and you had Charles Nelson Riley, who was on the top right. Those were the three regulars.
Yep.
And then you had semi-regulars. My first ever crush when I was a little kid.
Uh-oh.
My girlfriend's. I'm dating myself because she's like 85 years old now, right?
That was a fly. I'm sorry.
Joyce Bulifant.
Okay.
Yes, I had a mad like 4-year-old crush on her when I was a little kid. She's like 85 years old now. 85.
You want to go say hi?
And
shoot your shot. You never know.
Hey, Joyce, if you're out there,
sponsor us.
Exactly. You had also, I mean, pretty much had a who's who of like 70s movies and TV.
Was Betty White on there?
Betty White was a semi-regular.
Yeah, Betty White. Betty White was awesome.
Marsha Wallace.
Yes,
she was on.
Good one.
Trying to think who else. Fanny Flagg was another one. She was I don't know if people know the movie Little Green Tomatoes. Is that okay? Fried Green Tomatoes. She wrote that. She wrote the book.
I didn't know that.
And she was also on Candid Camera back in the day.
Okay.
But you had like a lot of people who were prominent in the 70s on those game shows. Like the Hollywood Squares was another prime example.
Yeah, I remember watching those shows. And then, I forget who did it, but when Lingo got big, I liked Lingo.
Chuck Woolery? Did he do that?
It was Chuck Woolery.
It was good
Why
old
do you
Chuck.
know like every...
Because I know. That's my forte.
That's your thing? Okay.
He was
the show called Whammy or some shit like that?
Yes. Like a little... Remember the guy that broke Whammy?
No.
Yes, yeah. They actually did a documentary on it.
Yes, they did. And he studied it forever.
He beat the system.
And he got on, and he figured out exactly when to hit the button.
That sounds like
And he broke the bank. They didn't have enough money.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That sounds like, what is it called? Slumdog Millionaire.
I think he's dead now.
Remember, you ever seen that?
I have not seen that.
Good movie.
That's on my list. That's like, I feel like that's the top, like...
That's a really good
movie.
Like
one of the top 1,000 movies you have to see before you die or whatever, Slumdog Millionaire.
That was a really good movie. Yeah.
Is that similar to like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire type thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Game show like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was another show I watched all the time.
My grandma used to watch. My grandma used to watch Jeopardy, Bullet Fortune, Price is Right. Something else I can't remember.
I mean, when I was a little kid, Jeopardy, the current version of Jeopardy goes back to 1984 when Alex Trebek took over. But I vaguely remember the first edition of Jeopardy, which was on until I was about maybe 3 or 4 years old. And I was such a game show freak when I was a kid. Like, again, seriously,
did you want to be on the show?
Apparently still now.
Let's put it this. No. In all seriousness,
Steve Harvey.
I wanted to be a game show host.
Do it. You still can.
Yeah, sure. I probably still could.
You could.
I mean, realistically, I don't think any game show hosts are under the age of like 55.
That's true. That's very true. And
yeah,
I want one of those. I want one of those Gene Rayburn microphones.
Yes.
You know, the tall ones, the long
yes.
ones. You have to have that.
Bend it every which way.
No, I can see you doing that.
Right. I mean, so like in the house that we lived in, the first house I lived in, we had on our stove, we had these, you know, like backsplash tiles, and they were pretty much like silver, like some sort of metal, all like in a grid fashion. So again, my little three-year-old imagination, I would get my parents to come in the kitchen, and I would pretend I was Art Fleming, who was the host of Jeopardy at the time, and I would play Jeopardy with them and just like make crap up, like, you know, here's the categories, like, you know, Sesame Street characters, you know, Grover's favorite letter or whatever, you know, and just go down the list and just like play fake Jeopardy with them, just total nonsense. Like, and this is going back like almost 50 years.
Was this around the same time that you bought your stupid construction paper?
That was a few years later.
Okay, I remember.
Do we have time for that story?
Absolutely.
No? Oh, okay.
We have plenty of time for everything.
Okay, well,
you're a guest. We have time.
All right, so just going back to the 70s and everything, and again, this is an oft-told tale in my family, but this is how times were different back then. I used to live in Bayonne, New Jersey, which is very much a town kind of like Queens, New York. It's the city, but not the city. So it was very much commonplace back then in which you would walk to school by yourself. My school was like 2 or 3 blocks away. My mom would say, oh, you know, go ahead, go to school. Kindergarten, mind you. I'm like 5, 6 years old. I'm walking myself to school. Mm-hmm. So one day she was sick. She did not feel well. She had a stomach ache. And we, you know, back then we had these little grocery stores around the corner from us. And this grocery store was called Bell's. And we used to frequent there just for like little things to pick up if we didn't go to ShopRite. So she sent me to Bell's to go get her Mylanta.
Oh, boy.
So she's sending a 6-year-old to go get Mylanta for her stomach ache. Mm. So I go. She gives me the money. I go. Now, Bell's is a small grocery store. You know, it's a little larger than a bodega, but it's, you know, smaller than, say, like a ShopRite or like a Grand Union or something like that. So I go in and I find the Mylanta, and then I'm on my way up to the register, and I pass by the stationery, and I see Peanuts construction paper. And I'm like, I must have that.
Why?
Because I'm 6 years old. Why would I not want Peanuts construction paper? So I grab it.
That's fair.
So I take the Mylanta, go up to the counter, and the checkout girl's like, you know, she's ringing it up, and, you know, she's like, you know, gives me the total, and I give her the money that my mom had given me.
Right.
And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, but, you know, you don't have enough money. You're going to have to put one of them back.
You didn't.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So I walk home with my Peanuts construction paper, and my mom was pissed at me. But, like, you know, and I told this tale to her, like, God knows how many times. I'm 6 years old. You're sending a 6-year-old to go get Mylanta? What do you expect? What do you expect?
I would have did the same shit.
Exactly.
But I am curious. Was there something different about the Peanuts?
The what?
The what? What did you say? Oh, boy. Episode 10 getting a little weird.
You have to edit that part out.
Get a little saucy over there. Look.
I got construction paper, Kyle. I didn't get anything else. I was 6, remember?
He was 6. I don't think that happened. It's okay. It's 2022, buddy. Sorry. Did you play it?
Start again. Was there something about the construction paper?
Was there something different about that construction paper?
Yeah, it's Snoopy and Charlie Brown and Linus on it. That's what.
Was it in like a booklet where it was?
No,
like,
it was different color construction paper.
Oh, that's all.
That's it. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing fancy. I was 6.
That's funny as shit.
That's it. Nothing more. It's not complicated.
Well, according to Carter, that's gay.
When you said,
according to Carter, that is gay.
Apparently it is.
I didn't say it. I'm not getting canceled.
You almost did. It sounded like
I said penis construction.
I don't know what's going on in your mind. You said 6-year-old, you just think penis.
You know what? There's a lot of things that go through my head.
Now, if I lived in Greenwich Village, then maybe. Anyway, that's a little, you know, I digress, but yes, that's a little side story there. See, but the 70s were a different time.
My dad used to send me to the stores all the time, but for random shit that didn't exist. Like one time he was like, go to Wawa, I want you to get this cupcake with orange icing or whatever. So I'm looking around. I'm asking, like, you have this cupcake? They're like, no. And I'm like, Dad, like, it's not a real thing.
But he saw it there?
That's what he said. That's what he claimed.
He never saw it.
He never seen the shit there. Like, so I'm in the line. I'm on the phone with him. And I'm like, Dad, this doesn't exist. He was like, it's there. I know it's there. And I was like, you want to come get it? He was like, what'd you say? I was like, do you want to come get it? Because I can't see it's not here.
What else did he do? Because he said, like, several times, right?
It was that, like, little pies.
It was the orange cupcake, like 7 times.
I know the orange cupcake, they exist. I know that.
With, like,
I've had them
cakes,
before.
whatever.
That's why he has nightmares right now. Because of the cupcake.
Like,
cupcake nightmares?
Yes.
Oh.
I do. I like cupcakes.
I have snake nightmares.
That's not what you want.
I kick Steph every once in a while.
She's a snake?
So,
I didn't say it.
You're
have you seen, like, do you like any, alright, if you watch a movie with snakes in it, does it give you, like, anxiety? Or anything?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So snakes in a plane,
Alright, so good story with that. So I watched it one time. I have terrible anxiety with snakes. If I see them, I panic. I have dreams all the time about them, and I, like, start kicking, and I make noises while I'm sleeping. So one time I watched that movie, home by myself. I think Adam, I don't know if Adam got it for me or maybe I got it for him or whatever it was. I was watching the movie and I was like, this is not a terrible movie. Like, it's an okay movie. I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, fucking snakes. And the snakes are like fully into it at this point. And we had a boxer at the time, Zeus, and he was laying underneath of me. And he happened to roll over and like brush my leg.
Oh, shit.
While I'm watching this, and I about shit myself.
Really?
If you did shit yourself, you can just tell us. We're not going to judge you.
I didn't. I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
You would. You definitely would. But I shit myself.
No pride here. But yeah. That was the most scared I've ever been in a movie ever in my entire life.
Now, you know what? I hate those movies or those videos on Facebook. Like, it happened today. I watched Stranger Things, and I was like, all right, cool. So, watched a couple episodes, and now I was on Facebook, and I was scrolling down, and it was like this woman died during this video. And all of a sudden, I'm watching, I'm into the video, and it was like, ah! I was like, I hate fucking videos like that. Shit pisses me off so much.
Look real close.
Right, yeah.
You gotta look in that corner
and
right
I had headphones on.
And then, like, Momo comes out.
Dead ass, I threw my phone.
Remember Momo?
Momo.
Remember Momo?
No.
On, like, Facebook, it was this really messed up looking thing.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like Michael Jackson a little bit.
I'm not going to see that, but I know what you're talking about.
I didn't say it.
You just said it. Those were your words. Penis man.
You're gonna edit it.
I'm not. Not overly crazy about horror movies. Like,
I don't know.
There's some of them in which I'm like, ooh, okay, like Hostel, like those
love
movies.
The Hostel movies.
Those are like those freak me out a little. But then a lot of them are just kind of like corny. But I have to say, like, again, like going back to when I was a kid, there was a couple that scared the shit out of me. And again, it just goes to like the time, like, all right, like, why? Here I am. I'm 5 years old. Why are you letting me watching these movies, Mom and Dad? Like, what's going on here?
Different time.
What's going on? So there was 2 movies that freaked me out back then. There was a movie, and I saw it for the first time, 1975. It was on TV, all right? And I remember, it started, the 2 things I remembered about it, Karen Black, okay? And this little, like, Zulu doll.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. That took life on its own and attacked her and stabbed her. And this was on, like, yes, but it was on, like, NBC. It was like a TV movie. And it freaked the crap out of me for years. Didn't know what it was. All I knew was Karen Black. And then one day it popped up on Facebook. I'm like, holy shit, there's that movie. There's that movie. This is 40 years later. I'm like, oh my God, it's the Zulu doll. And it's going like that. It was literally doing that shit. It had like a spear, and it was like,
one more time for me.
Right? She would be screaming, running across the room. And my parents would let me watch this stuff because, again, back then you had like 5 channels, 1 TV, so we all watched TV. But I should have been in bed at the time.
Unbelievable.
Noni and Poppy, unbelievable, right? So,
for shame.
But it was kind of like, again, like. And now I see it all the time on Facebook because there's been other people, and I believe it's called Trilogy of Terror. There was 3 different, it's like an anthology, and it was like 3 different short stories. One of them was the Zulu doll thing with Karen Black.
But fitting for a show.
Yeah. And I'm reading like all the comments, fitting for a child. I'm reading all the comments, and it's like, I feel you, bro. I feel you. Like, everyone's like, that scared the living shit out of me. Like, and I was like 2. Like, you know, but it was like...
You know what movie scared me? The Grudge.
Really?
Yeah, I fucking hate it. I used to not like cats because of The Grudge.
You're also a bitch.
Said the Snake Man. Listen. The Grudge... Alright, so... I want to go see The Grudge. I don't like scary movies. Like, if it's, like, suspenseful, like I said, what's it called? Stranger Things. It's suspenseful, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about straight, like, horror or demonized. I don't like that. I don't like
From what I know, it's going to get, like, full-on horror.
Shut up.
By the end.
Yeah, well, shut up. Anyway, so... I was watching, like, my friend was like, you want to go see The Grudge? And I was like, fuck no, I'm good off of that. He was like, come on, let's go see The Grudge. He was like, don't be a bitch. I was like, fine, fuck it. Went to go see The Grudge, came back, he had a cat named Mickey. Mickey sitting on stairs, he goes, I was like,
he knew.
I was like, I went home. I was like, I want to go home. He was like, we're going to play some Halo. I said, I don't want to play shit in this house. I'm going home. And that shit scared me for the longest time. Like, I just don't like scary movies. And it was crazy. I know a lot of girls who love, like, scary movies, and I'm like, why?
So, I feel like when we were, like, in high school age, I feel like girls really liked horror movies because they could get guys to, like cuddle them. Like, that was, like, the kind of, like, cheesy...
If you grab me in a horror movie, I might punch you out of fear. Just,
But I feel like that was, like, kind of a thing when you're in high school.
Pull me close.
That age. But I hated horror movies for a long time because my thing was I go to a comedy so I can laugh.
Right.
I go to a thriller to be thrilled.
Right.
I go to a horror movie to be scared. And, like, jump scares didn't really do it for me. That wasn't enough. So I needed something that legitimately scared me. And I've told you, The Strangers. That's the one that got me.
That's got you. You said that.
Now, who's that?
So that is Liv Tyler. And her fiance go to a cabin in the woods. It's her family's cabin. And it's based on a true story. And these three masked individuals show up and they just torture them for hours.
You ever seen 13 Ghosts?
I have not. I've heard of it.
That shit fucked me up too. Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But, like, now I'm looking at them more analytically, and I'm seeing, like, even if I'm not scared, are you catching the right angles to, like, to be suspenseful, to be horrific, to be scary, whatever it is. And I'm appreciating them more now, even though they might not be scaring me. Like, I've appreciated, like, the Conjuring films, or...
I hate them.
Like, I watched, La Llorona, and that's not terrible.
I'm not good.
So that's based on, like, a Mexican tale where a woman, like, drowned her two children, and she comes back and she, like, basically comes after children. That's what it is. But it's interesting, and it's connected to,
a female Freddy Krueger.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
But it's interesting, it's good, it's well developed, and the narrative is good, and that's kind of how I look at them now, and I'm not looking to be scared necessarily anymore.
Yeah, I kind of classify, like, the horror movies and kind of like the cheesy gore, and then there's the kind of like the thriller. And again, like the cheesy gore, that's the Halloween, the Friday the 13th, and again they have their place and everything.
Yeah.
Like looking back on that like doesn't scare me one bit. Movies like The Omen.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that.
I don't like 5 years old at the Roosevelt Drive-In. My parents couldn't find a babysitter. Guess who saw The Omen?
What about
this guy right here?
Did you watch that too?
Later on.
Which one?
The Exorcist.
The Exorcist. And again, that's
loves The Exorcist.
That's a great movie.
It is.
It's a great movie.
It's been a long time since I've seen that.
I used to laugh at it when I was a kid. That was just funny as shit.
Throwing up in the bed, I'm like,
your mother's like, stop down.
I was like, you're right. Like, why am I supposed to be scared of that?
Right. Then they got the new ones.
But I would get that at 5. Like, my mom and my grandfather had a pool, and they saw Jaws. And then they got in the pool, and they're like, I can't get in the pool. Like, I'm uncomfortable getting in the pool right now. Like, I could kind of get that with it being very new type of cinema. It's not something you're familiar with at that point. Like, now, you see an animatronic 70-foot shark, and it, like, doesn't really do anything for you, because it's not a thing
you're
familiar with. Yeah. But, cinema in general has shifted dramatically.
I feel like I was telling you before, the fear of the unknown is what gets a lot of people.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Like, what's that in the woods over there? It's dark. I don't know what it is. You're just like... And then, of course, they add the music to make more suspense and all that shit. You're just like, oh, fuck.
But, yeah, you have to touch places that people are unfamiliar with, which is hard now because everything's been done.
Everybody's jaded, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like, as you said, Jaws, I mean, I think that's why that worked so well, because that was really... No one had touched on that. I know there was a couple movies prior to that did deal with, like, sharks and whatnot. But, I mean, this was, like... Jaws was, like, the big blockbuster.
Welcome back to episode 10 of Cinema Ave.
Woo woo!
I'm Pat on the cam.
I'm Caan. Just simply Caan.
What?
Caan. That's you. That's my person.
What?
I'm Caan.
I think we're confused.
Caan.
And
you made it worse.
And I'm Paul again. I'm still his father-in-law. So
unfortunately, it's okay.
Depends on what day.
Today's a bad day.
Most days are good days.
Well, because the mustache is good. Today's a good day.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's a cop.
I'll just keep this trimmed and it'll make it look better.
Yeah, just keep it up.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
That's how he always listens. He listens like.
That is true.
Trevor's funny. That's funny.
Shout out to you, Trevor.
What up, dog? Come on the show.
That's a gift for canceling the one time.
Yeah, and down on us.
Yes. See, it's not hard, Trev. I mean, come on.
Boom.
He'll be here.
Okay, one day. And Emily wants to be on too.
Does she want to be on?
She does.
That'll be an interesting show.
Yeah.
Gotta figure what we're gonna talk about on said show.
But just, whatever.
Yeah.
It'll be a good show. Don't get me wrong, but it'll be an interesting show.
Well, it'll be a good show because it'll be Emily and Kyle and
the dynamic there.
We don't. Whew. We both love each other and hate each other.
Yes.
Oh, you're frenemies. That's cool.
Yeah.
This is gonna be funny. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. We have a very interesting relationship.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting. Like,
are you in danger?
We butt heads very often, but
I feel bad for her.
She'll often text me and be like, "What are you doing this weekend? Want to come drinking?"
Yeah,
so
like I don't think
people buy like alcohol brings everybody together.
I don't think I would put it past her to do physical harm on you, but I think she would cry afterwards. I think
set the house on fire.
Like, I'm kind of upset that I did that.
Yeah,
she shed one tear.
One.
Yes. She would, do typical Emily. Be
so
like, everybody hates me right now.
Did this start out this way, y'all?
We butted heads from like day one. I feel like. No, not day one. I didn't like her from day one.
Damn.
Day 4. I mean, it's been a while.
Okay, yeah, day 4.
Let's put it this way. I mean, if they were all lovey-dovey with each other, something is up and something would be weird.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel like it's a good relationship.
It's a good relationship. No, all
I'm your friend. Let me tell you about our relationship. It's bad, so I'm assuming hers is bad too.
Yeah, it's a multi-dimensional relationship where
this man said multi-dimensional,
multi-layered.
Yes. It's a multiverse of madness.
Yeah, being your friend, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, but speaking of Marvel, because you can't Sagooby.
I did Sagooby. It was just turn to Sagooby. He's Sagooby.
So when we're filming, Thor came out last night. When you guys see this, it will be I don't know, 4 months since the release of Thor. Who knows? Jaws doesn't exist.
It sure fucking does.
It does.
Go ahead. You can do some Jaws stuff. Go ahead. So we left off on Jaws. Pat's camera sucks, and
this guy's just fucking up. Shut your jaw and let him talk about Jaws.
So anyway, about Jaws. What was I saying about? Oh yes, Jaws. I mean, prior to Jaws, there was very few movies of that type. And again, when that movie came out, it was such the blockbuster that it was. It just it was a movie done right that scared the living shit out of everybody.
It was Spielberg before Spielberg.
It was Spielberg before Spielberg. That was pretty much it. That's all I really got to say about Jaws.
But I really loved your intro. What about Jaws? Yes, Jaws.
Oh shit, Jaws.
Trevor, you can do that.
Does he still do his pizza thing?
No, I don't think he's done pizza things in a while.
What pizza?
Remember, he was kind of doing the one bite kind of thing.
He
was doing that on Marco Polo.
I think he kind of calmed down on that, but he still eats pizza on a regular basis.
Oh, sure,
heartburn.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
that would do it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we all love pizza, but there's limits.
I love pizza. It's just heartburn now, and no one ever warned me about that. When you get older, you get heartburn. I didn't.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Getting old sucks sometimes, and you take medication for your heartburn and stuff like that.
It's ridiculous.
You take it every day.
I'm not that old yet, but I've got
blood pressure medication.
I don't have
just
that yet.
to eat that pizza. Yeah, that's why you have to sacrifice.
All for the pizza.
It's like your body's just turning on you. It's like, what did I do to you? I thought we were friends. You know what I'm saying?
You drank excessively.
Oh yeah.
Well, you did a lot to it. To be fair,
past problem.
If
once you hit your 40s, you start noticing the little pings and pangs and all that.
Oh, I understood day 1 of my 30s.
Yep.
Really?
I'm 34, and it's just everything's different.
Damn.
Dave and Adam came over. my 30th birthday. We were still like right smack dab in the middle of COVID, so there wasn't a whole lot to do. We had to skip Vegas that year.
Mm-hmm. I forgot you're like early 30s.
Yeah. But so we stayed up late. We were up till like 4 o'clock in the morning.
A little younger, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
You're like 50.
Go ahead, buddy.
No, I'm like 50. I am 50.
But
he's a lot younger than 50, though.
He's like 50.
How I move? Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, so we stayed up till like 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like fully into Film Thread at that point. I stayed up. I watched a movie. It was a French movie. I had to like really focus on it. It wasn't one of those things that I could listen and not really watch. Mm-hmm. So I was up till maybe 6:37. I was then back up at 8, and that day I felt terrible.
What about Jaws 2? How do you feel about that?
I've never seen any of the other Jaws.
Jaws, just to get back on the Jaws, this is going to be a little bit of a recurring
That's
theme.
a you, Sigui.
That was. He did it good, like me.
The Jaws movies are basically one of the few movie series in which each successive movie is worse than the other.
That happens a lot.
It does happen a lot. But, I mean, this is truly, like, Jaws 1 is a classic. Jaws 2, pretty good. Not bad. Okay, Jaws 3 is cheesy. I mean, that shark in 3D that just go...
Was it a 3D movie?
It was a 3D movie at SeaWorld. Go figure, like, a shark at SeaWorld.
Right. You're right.
And then Jaws, The Revenge was ultimate shit. It was, like, horrible.
Was a shark live? Fuck.
Like, what shark is out for revenge?
Well, apparently that one. Bruce was. Or
is that
Bruce's
his name?
son. Well, Bruce is the name of the original...
Is it really?
Really?
Oh, from Jaws?
I didn't know that.
His name is Bruce.
Yeah, I thought his name was Jaws.
The mechanical shark's name is Bruce.
Interesting.
That motherfucker.
But that was a really good mechanical shark.
It was.
Yeah, apparently it had some mechanical issues, but they worked around it.
But that's what Spielberg was really good at, was finding those types of like animatronics to bring movies to life.
Yeah.
He did a really good job, and I feel like he almost petered off as time went on. He should have gotten better. Not that he as a director has gotten worse, but he's found worse animatronics and worse CGI.
Speaking of that,
as time has gone,
would you prefer practical effects over CGI?
It depends on the movie. So you have, I'm going to go the Marvel route because there's so many different things. So you have Eternals with more practical effects than CGI.
Really?
They shot a lot on scene or on location. And it was done very well. But also you had things like Endgame and Infinity War where it was mostly CGI and it was done very well.
Right.
So it really depends on the film. I mean, you get things like Critters. Have you seen Critters?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could take like the the Star Wars movies as an example.
Those are great. Yeah.
I mean,
look,
Yoda.
That's a good way to compare
I think
Jurassic
Yoda. A little too like, again, growing up and watching Empire Strikes Back and and Return of the Jedi, you're used to the Yoda puppet basically. I mean,
right.
Yoda is basically a Muppet. It's a Jim Henson.
Absolutely.
Right. And then
it's a Jim Henson, Frank Oz.
Exactly, right. So you get into the CGI with the the prequel movies, and I don't know, it just seemed a little too much. It just, I don't know, it didn't resonate with me.
But even looking at like Lucas's like recuts years later of like A New Hope, where he included all that CGI later on. It was very weird and almost out of place. And it's obviously like a different universe where anything can happen. It was very unnatural. Like the one thing that always stands out to me is there's one where as the speeder is coming towards you on Tatooine, and one of the creatures walks in front of it, and it's very obviously a CGI character, and it just takes everything away from that scene. Like they have a machine in the late 70s that appears to be floating. Incredible practical effects, no CGI involved, and they take so much away from that because they have the CGI character walk in front of it.
Right.
So in terms of that, I prefer practical effects.
That's like, my TV is a 4K TV, so it's like I see a lot of movies, I'm like, oh yeah, CGI, that's CGI, cool. So it's like sometimes for me it's just like it ruins it. Sure. But then sometimes it's a pretty good blend. Like I'm like, oh shit, like what's crazy? you talking about practical effects, stuff like that. Do you know in Fast and Furious they pretty much shot that was like they actually did a lot of those stunts?
They do a lot of that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? Yeah. Like the whole safe dragging through the city, that was real.
But they also do a lot of things that are like obviously fake. They do it on location, and they do it so like Fast and Furious 6, where they're on like the landing strip, and they're like going forever and forever and forever, and they're saying like whatever the average landing strip is however many miles. Well, it would have taken like 87 miles to film this scene, so like it's ridiculous in that sense. But practically, it's done very well, where they actually have a plane moving and cars driving alongside it, and it's cool that way. Where Vin Diesel has a lot of say in that, and a lot of people have a lot of shit to say about Vin Diesel in terms of acting and producing and things like that. I feel like he does a lot of practical effects with the Fast and Furious franchise that are done very well, and it adds to the franchise.
I think they gotta stop. If I'm being honest.
They're very close. They're going to do 2 to finish 10.
They should
well, I was going to say, what are they up to now?
It's going to be 10 part 1 and 2, which will sort of be 11 part 1 and 2 if you count the spin-off with The Rock and Jason Statham, which I didn't hate. It's super cheesy,
but I feel like after they should have just a while back. Should have stopped.
It's honestly at this point, it's not really about the narrative; it's about the characters, and they do a very good job of developing characters. That's what it is. You have a character from 2000.
But it's like they beating a dead horse. It's always this guy's a bad guy. This guy's a bad guy. Oh, they have history. Oh, now let's work together and
they do. That's very true. Where they always bring in the bad guy to be the good guy at the end, and
it's about family.
But it's all it is. Oh my god. I got PTSD right now. My students at the end of the year realized that I hated them saying that over and over again, so they just said it over and over again.
Well, there you go.
Yep. They're like, I was like,
they gotta fuck
you guys gotta work together, like, cause we're family. I'm like, you fail. You fail.
You get an F. You get an F.
You're not going to 9th grade.
No, I have a question. I'm not even gonna cut you. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You're a teacher. Is there any teacher movie that you like to watch that kind of inspired you to be a teacher, or was it like, or were you that kid that was like, when I grow up, I want to be a teacher?
Well, there's like the obvious movie, like Freedom Writers is like the thing, but that was not something I had watched prior to being a teacher.
Okay,
I watched it after I became a teacher.
Oh.
But there are movies that I've watched that are connected to texts that I'm like, I would love to teach kids about this.
Okay.
So like The Hobbit was one. We read The Hobbit this year. It took us months because realistically, some of my students struggle with reading, and realistically, I shouldn't assign it for homework essentially because it might not happen. So what I did was I read it to them, which I like doing. I got to reread the text for the first time in years, and they were really into it. And I realized they were into it when we watched the movies, I promise, and that was what I did in the beginning, because I wasn't sure how they'd feel about it. It's sci-fi, and maybe a little left of center of what they're used to. And as I was reading, or as I started to read it, I said, I promise you, I figured out where the movies take place, like where the text cuts off, we'll watch the movie. So there's 3 movies. I promised them that. And it got to the point where we were watching the movies, and they're naming characters that aren't named in the movie, but are named in the text.
That's awesome.
That's good.
Like it's a bird flies by, and they're like, oh, that's Roak the Raven. I was like, well, that's not in the movie. That's literally just in the text.
It resonated with
So stuff like that is what I look for.
Now, what about movies about teaching? Like, is there any...
Like that one, what's his name? Like, I forget his name. It was Mr. Garfield or whatever it was. Spanish dude. Inner city teacher.
There was
I know.
There's
I know what you're talking about.
Standing.
Talking about the one with
Stand and Deliver?
What's it?
There's one with Morgan Freeman.
Lean on Me.
That's the one
with Joe Clark.
Yes. Yeah. I've never seen it.
Great movie.
But I've heard it's great.
But I'm a Morgan Freeman fan. But
yeah.
he great movie. Great movie.
So
you do reviews on movies,
I know,
correct?
I have a lot I need to watch.
But do you not view movies?
So one I had seen prior was Mr. Holland's Opus.
That was a good movie.
Which is Richard Dreyfuss, and he is basically like an orchestra teacher or a band teacher or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the term is, but he basically takes a bunch of students that don't care about music and turn them into really good students.
I know you're talking about. I forgot about that.
And I actually watched that at Bloomfield. That was assigned to me one of my first education classes.
Oh, that hellish school that we went to.
Oh, that's a good one. Dead Poet Society. But I think that was also one I hadn't seen prior to teaching. It was so Robin Williams is one of those actors that I've kind of avoided.
Who?
Not Robin Williams.
Oh. Any particular
Where
reason?
opposite, I didn't love the exaggeration of the characters in all of his movies. I enjoyed it in Aladdin because it's supposed to be exaggerated. Dead Poet Society is very different for him, where he's kind of exactly what you want him to be.
I share that sentiment. I was never a fan of... I mean, immense talent. I thought he was funny as a stand-up.
Yeah.
But it just seems like he was like one of those people like Jim Carrey who always had to be on. Like, whenever you saw him on, like, The Tonight Show or wherever, it's always... You know, he was always, like, in character. And it just... I always felt sorry for those types of people because I just feel like that they just didn't know how to not be in character. Like you just didn't see the real self.
It was a combination of them not knowing how to be and maybe not being accepted for being out of character.
Peter Sellers was another person who was like that.
I know that name, but who?
He was in the Pink Panther movies.
Yes,
being there.
Okay.
He was a brilliant actor. Brilliant. Mm-hmm. He was in Dr. Strangelove. He was nominated for that movie, playing like I think 3 different roles. He was in like all of the Pink Panther movies. Brilliant actor, British actor. The thing was he got so lost in his role that he actually said this at one time that he lost himself. He didn't know how to be himself.
Right.
There was an actual episode of The Muppet Show back in the late 70s in which he was the guest, and Kermit actually there's like a little interplay between Kermit and him, and he's like, you know, you're so good at all these different characters, you know, but it's like I never see yourself, and it was kind of like a thing of honesty at that point, in which he actually said on the show, it's like, Kermit, I don't know myself. I'm always in character. That's all I know. And it's like you just feel sad. I mean, for as brilliant as these actors are, that they lose themselves.
Because it's like they have to become that character.
They have to.
They got to study it all the time. Like, I forget who it was. It might have been Vin Diesel. It was some movie where he was supposed to be in jail and he had to break out of the jail or whatever. I forget what it's called.
That's like 6 of the Fast and Furious movies.
True. But it was like he locked himself in a room for like months just to get used to being isolated from everybody else. And it's just like, even when Jack Nicholson was talking about being the Joker, he was like, it takes a toll on you.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of actors, they usually go to therapy right after they act to try to get back to themselves. So I feel like that's like the issue sometimes. It's like you go far off the deep end. It's hard to get back.
Like I think Heath Ledger was another one.
Great actor.
The Joker. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that like Robin Williams was part of that, where he kind of lost himself. And
I feel like Robin Williams was kind of different because, especially like find out, you know, he committed suicide. He was depressed. A lot of people who are depressed try to make you laugh because they don't want you to feel like them.
Right.
So I feel like that was a big thing for him. He was like, if I make everybody else laugh, I will feel better, and I don't want them to ever feel like how I feel. So I feel like that's what it was for him.
Yeah.
Just like comedians, just like them. A lot of comedians
it's like also
sad.
a front.
Yeah.
You know, trying to put on this facade of what you are or what you're not.
Like Kevin Hart, for an example, it's called Laugh at My Pain. Funny as hell, but it's like you're laughing at his pain. Mm-hmm. That's something, you know what I mean? And it's like a lot of, I feel like a lot of comedians are really depressed. They're just trying to make you laugh because they know how it feels to be depressed. And they don't want anybody else to feel like that. So.
Well, Chris Farley was another one.
Yep. He was. So
yeah. He would do anything to make anybody laugh.
Yep.
You know, and his idol was John Belushi.
Yep.
You know, I mean,
died. Another one.
That's the sad part about like depression. Like, it's hard to know how it is. Like, you know what I mean? You can't physically see it, but it's like you feel isolated. No matter how many people say love you, they care about you, everything, you feel isolated from everybody. So it's kind of hard to get you, like, you know what I mean? So it's just sad. It's like, hey, I want you to laugh because this shit sucks.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. I just feel like, and they also get, like you said, they get lost in character. I just feel like it's sad.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's the way they deal with it. Like, you know, everybody deals with depression in different ways, and it's a real illness. You know, I don't care what anybody says, it's a real illness. You know, you can't just tell somebody to just snap out of it. It's like, oh, you know, it's not the same as like being down. You know, when you have depression, you have like you have to work at it. You have to work to get out of that.
Absolutely.
And you know, again, like some people handle it differently, and I think, you know, maybe fortunately for comedians, because they have maybe that outlet in which they could get that out, because to them I guess it's maybe therapy. I guess the thing is with people like Robin Williams, maybe when the show's over and they're back into reality and everyday life, and that's when it kind of sets in again.
It's like you really can't escape it.
Right.
There's an episode of Friends where with Fisher Stevens is the guest star, and Fisher Stevens plays a therapist dating Phoebe, and he talks about Chandler's character, where he was like, everything's jokes and everything's funny, you're great at making everybody else laugh, and he's like, I'd hate to see what it's like when the laughter stops. And it's like very honest and very like you can relate to it very well.
But it's funny that you said that, because that's kind of why this podcast got started. We're like, we want to talk about like movies and mental health, because especially for men, because it's like a taboo inside. It's like, oh, you have feelings, you're a man, supposed to be like this, and it's like, it's unfortunate on how it's happening now, but I'm glad people are starting to like change their mindset on that. And okay.
There's an old school way of thinking of it, and a lot of people don't understand depression. They think it's like you're in a mood or something like that. And I've had depression.
Same.
I went to therapy for it. Again, when you have it, because no matter what you do, no matter what you try to do, you cannot snap out of it at all. But the thing that, there's no shame in it. There's no shame in going to therapy. There's no shame in talking to somebody, because, again, it's mental health.
Right.
You need to get, your mental health and your physical health are tied together. If you don't have your mental health, you're not going to have your physical health, and vice versa. You're not.
Yeah, I'm going to therapy right now for it, because it's like, it was weird because like I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and growing up in my culture, we never talked about that. There was never any depression. It was more like, what are you sad about? Okay, I'll get you something to be sad or whatever, or go out to work or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like men don't cry, stuff like that. So it's like getting older and starting to, because I didn't know what it was. So I was like, why am I so down there? I can't get out of bed, or why I feel so anxious, whatever. And just like finding what it was like a hard pill to swallow. But now I try to understand how I deal with it. I could be like, okay, I'm about to have a down day today, and that's okay.
There was no such thing, as far as I was concerned, as like anxiety attacks when I was in my teens.
Right.
You didn't hear about that.
Right.
Now you hear about that.
Right.
My suggestion, for people who are in that situation is quite simply, and it's more involved than that. If you have to take medication to help, absolutely. Find the thing in life that makes you happy. And you concentrate on that, and you do it. And you try to weed out the stuff that makes you unhappy. If you can do that, you can start digging out of it. And I say that from experience. And it's true. Again, everybody's different, but, the stigma that goes along with it really needs to go away, and I have to admit, like, when I hear somebody saying, like, oh, it's like in your head, or, it gets me mad, because I've been there. It gets me mad because I've been there. I know it's not. I can't just snap out of it. It doesn't work that way.
That's why
it's something you have to work at.
Right.
And again, therapy. There's no shame in that whatsoever. Even if there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with going to talk to a stranger and just like pouring your shit out to somebody just because you needed to get it out there.
Right. It's becoming more common, for sure. Like I told Pat, that's kind of like what this is for me. It's not a professional.
It's therapeutic.
But it's very therapeutic.
It's fun.
I can just basically spill my guts and express to him how I'm feeling at the moment, or how I've felt for the past week. But like kind of backtracking to like the Friends thing. So like they did the 20th anniversary of it where everybody came back. And Matthew Perry made it a point to tell everybody they had no idea at that point. He was like, when people didn't laugh at me, he's like, it drove me crazy. Like I got depressed and I was uncomfortable and I couldn't deal with it. And it was kind of in that same vein of like, that's what made him tick. That's what made him okay. And when people didn't laugh, because they talked about how they would tell a joke and then maybe people didn't respond to it appropriately, so they'd go back to the drawing board. And the writers and directors would kind of draw something new up, but when it didn't work the first time, he's like, it just ripped me apart. He's like, I couldn't deal with it. So, like, that just is very clear, those comedians are trying to get something out of it to kind of solidify themselves in the world, and they're just not getting it.
It's crazy though, because there was a comedian named D. Ray. He was someone when he was young, he was molested. And he was talking about what happened to him, and like he was smiling and like chuckling about it. Like you could tell it hurt. You could look at his eyes, tell it hurt. But like everybody in the studio was like laughing with him because he was making jokes. Right. And it was like I was watching, and I was just like, damn, like. Because, like, my therapist even said to me, she was like, you constantly use laughter as the defense mechanism. I'm doing it my whole life. So she was like, try not to do that. I started laughing. I was like, that's what I do, whatever. So it's just like, it's crazy seeing it from another perspective, except from my own. See somebody else do that.
So she was telling you to not do that?
She was saying that I have to try to, if it hurts, it hurts. Try not to laugh about it, try to deal with it.
I guess it's just trying to face it, I guess. You know, just come face to face with it instead of, I guess, hiding behind it. And it's a natural reaction, you know. I mean, that's your comfort level, right? And same thing with the comedians that we're talking about. That's their comfort level. A lot of them came from pain, you know. A lot of them came from abuse, or they had alcohol issues, or what have you, and that was their, you know, their way of coping, you know. But I guess to your, you know, therapist's point, it's just like with anything. Like if you're kind of sweeping it under the rug, I guess. You know, because it's going to rear its ugly head at some point when the dust settles and you're in your hotel room in between shows, and that's where you hear, you know, a lot of, you know, these things happening, in which, you know, drug overdoses or, you know, somebody committing suicide. It's always at some hotel, Ramada Inn somewhere in like Iowa or whatever, you know. And it's
crazy that you said that, because it's like, I know for me it happened here. Yeah. Because I've been through a lot of shit, and it's like I finally got to a place where I'm like, I have my own apartment, I'm good. And it was like, when you're running from all that shit, you don't realize you're running from it. So you finally get to a place where you can think, and then that's when it just all comes at you at one time. So it's like you can't hide from it, you have to deal with it.
You have to deal with it, yeah.
So I encourage you guys to watch Inside by Bo Burnham. You guys know who Bo Burnham is? So he's a stand-up comedian who bases a lot of his comedy on music. He's a very talented musician. He plays like 13 or 14 different instruments. And so a lot of his stand-up is based on that. So he apparently had a lot of anxiety attacks when he started doing stand-up comedy in the past like 3 or 4 years. And it had been a couple years where he just couldn't deal with it. And then he tells jokes about it and Inside. And he talks about, well, I finally like got the strength to get up on stage and do it again. He's like, it was like February of 2020. And he's like, then some crazy shit happened. March of 2020 happened. He's like, and I just couldn't do it. Like, I just didn't have the ability to do it. It wasn't there. And all of his songs are about being isolated and stuck inside. And there are certain songs I listen to over and over and over again. And you could, like, he's a very good actor. Like, he was in a movie called Promising Young Woman. He was scheduled to play like different characters in like a Lakers series, and he's a very good actor, and he uses that, you know, to his benefit on stage, and he really pinpoints the mental health issues in his songs. And this one is much less about the instruments like the previous ones are, where he focuses like, I can play the keyboard, I can play the oboe, I can play the trumpet, and this is way more on his mental health issues and how like isolation made it 10 times worse. And he does a great job at pinpointing it. One of Steph's roommates, or not roommates, but friends in college, Steph and her now fiance Aiden. Shout out to you guys. They got engaged while we were in Disney.
Congrats.
But they told me to watch this, and it was really, really good, really touching. Like, it hit me. And Steph doesn't love Bo Burnham, and she's like, didn't love watching him, but it like really hit me in a certain place, and it was really, really touching. And I encourage you guys to watch it. It's on Netflix.
Do you feel as if, like, because you was talking about like 2020 and like the COVID, do y'all feel like during quarantine that you found yourself being like more depressed, or was it just like
No, I didn't feel myself being depressed. I mean, I like my solitude as well. You know, I mean, I like, you know, I like my mixture. I like being out with people, you know, socializing. Like, when I was younger, I was in my teens. You know, I had my friends and everything, but I was very, very shy. I was like, and you know, just as you get older, you just realize that, you know, there's really no reason to be. All right, welcome back to Cinema Ave, episode 10.
Woo woo.
I'm Paul. Again, I'm Kyle's father-in-law. And here's Kyle, here's Pat, and let's get back into it.
Pat on the cam. Woo!
That was much more
that was
smooth
great,
and better than how Pat does it.
Yeah.
So
fuck you.
Your mother.
Mama!
So what were we last talking about?
It was a lot. We talked about depression.
COVID.
Coke?
I think we're Coke.
You say Coke?
Coke, yeah.
No, we're talking
about Coke.
Oh, you at the party.
Coke and COVID, actually. How much Coke we did
during
COVID. Exactly.
Yeah. There was lots of time.
It was great.
On Marco Polo every day, Pat was like,
I'll try to get you to party with me. You don't want to party? No?
No, I think what we last left off was how did the pandemic affect us? Mm-hmm. There we go, bringing us back.
I'm glad you remember things.
I'm bad with this shit.
I'm glad I remember. So anyway, so how it affected me, I don't think it really did affect me, actually. Again, like from what, you know, our conversation, Stephanie, we were having before about the whole...
Who's Steph?
Omnipotent?
No, not omnipotent.
Omniscient?
Carter, what was the word again?
Omnisocial.
Omnisocial, that's it.
Was that the word?
Omnisocial.
Close?
Yeah. That was it. Carter said it before.
Ambidextrous.
Ambidextrous, right.
And then anatomy.
Omnivert.
Omnivert.
So many words.
Like what I said, yes.
What is an omnivert? What is that?
It's not you.
I think it's basically it's being kind of like a selective introvert in a way, in which you're not really an introvert. Like you're an introvert when you really want to be, but you're not exactly shy. You just, you know, get sick and tired of people. Basically, I guess
so
is that pretty much it.
When you're around a lot of people, you're like, all right, I gotta take time away from people to get my energy back.
Yeah, and that's me.
That's me.
That's definitely me. Yeah, because I think like during the pandemic,
a bitch. Sorry, go ahead.
I enjoyed being home to an extent. Like, you know, I'm a homebody, but I like being out and everything. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I'd rather like at work. I'd rather work in the office than work at home. I just did not enjoy working at home altogether.
Oh my god. Well, depending on what you work. When I was doing TV, internet, and phone repair. So I was the guy that you call him like, my internet's not working. It cuts me out all day. No.
Well, it was probably your fault.
Fuck no. It was everybody else's fault who didn't know how to use the shit.
Oh, he's writing something. Bees?
And I think it is. I think it's just it's dealing directly with the people. I just actually enjoyed more. I actually enjoyed the interaction with the people. And then at the end of the day, I've had enough of them. I go home. You know, so
I feel like I am addicted to being by myself. Like before, I couldn't be alone. I used to hate it. Now I'm like, leave me alone.
Sometimes isolation sometimes is a good thing. It really is.
It is.
Yeah.
You need to clear your mind.
You learn like how to put up boundaries and realize what you will deal with and what you will not deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like to me, it's to the point where I just get. It's like, why'd you breathe like that? I get out my face. Like it's that bad. So I gotta bring myself like, all right, you know, everybody is okay.
So a lot of people think that like sitting at home by yourself, you stew in your own thoughts and it's no good. But it allows you to better understand yourself.
Absolutely.
You don't have anybody else telling you what you are, or there's no expectations of what you're supposed to be. You just kind of you are what you are, and you just kind of understand it for the first time.
Yeah, you have a better understanding of what your purpose in life is.
Yeah, right, absolutely. And I feel like a lot of people need to do that more. I feel like sometimes people feel like they can't be alone. They have to be with somebody, have somebody near them. I feel like once you get, like, depending on what you're going through, it's a lot being by yourself, because it's like you have enough time to think about, oh, that shit was fucked up. I shouldn't have handled it that way. I should have did it like this.
Absolutely.
It's a lot, but it's kind of like breaking down a building and rebuilding it.
And I tell you, when you get older, you worry less about that shit. So you combine that with, you know, being by yourself more often in a, we'll say, pandemic situation. Again, you have a sense of clarity of like, and I think that's pretty much why, if you think about it, why a lot of people basically changed careers or just like did something different. It just pretty much upended everybody to really, you know, do a self-assessment on themselves. It's like, all right, do I really want to be doing this? Or, you know, what do I adjust in my life because this is what I've been doing for the past 9 months. I think I like it this way. I want to continue this way after the pandemic's done. And then some people are like, I hate it. I got to get back out there.
Me and my mom kind of had a conversation about that because I was telling her, I was like, I don't like what I'm doing. Because she was like, you get a job, you just stick with it, and I'm like, I understand that's how it used to be, but there's too many opportunities now where I don't have to do that. So she was like, you have a good job, you did it. I was like, I'm not happy. Right. So you wake up every morning, I used to get like panic attacks and anxiety attacks bad as hell, like before I even got to work. And then I would get to work and like my hand would start shaking before I had to clock in because I hated it so much. I would clock in, I would go in the bathroom trying to like quiet like my thoughts because there was too much going on.
And so I was like, I can't. No way of going through life like that. No. And again, it all ties into like what we were talking about before. You're unhappy with what situation you're in. Again, the old school way of thinking is that, you have a job, no matter what job it is, you stick it out, you do your best at it. But if you're not happy with it, that's going to carry over into your personal life. And if it carries over into your personal life, you're going to get depressed, you're going to get anxiety, and you get into a vicious cycle in which...
You take it out on everybody.
Right. You take it out on everybody, you take it out on yourself, and you're miserable. You weed out the stuff. There's always something in life that's going to make you happy, and that you're going to find that niche and find yourself and make a career out of it. Bottom line, you just got to find what it is. But there's no sense. What do they say? Money can't buy happiness, right? It's true. If you hate what you're doing, that money is not going to matter. You're going to come home and you're going to be miserable. You're not going to want to do anything with that money.
Exactly.
So it's
or you're going to do something with that money.
Or you're going to exactly. Like, right. You're going to use that money to drown your
to cope with
sorrows.
Getting through the day. And
absolutely.
It's, right. It's crazy because it's like when I was working at that place, I seen people who had like those. If you go outside, there was like coke bags, there was like weed, and all shit on the ground. It's like
they were yours, right?
Nah, I don't cocaine.
Like
nah. But no, it's just to see what people had to do to get through the day to deal with the shift, and it's like that's what people are like. Oh, me too. Like I deal with nothing. I'm like, all right. Imagine getting yelled at 8 hours a day, and then it's like you can have cool customers. And now one person can fuck up your whole day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I was like, because people are like, oh, people are unemployed, they don't want to work. It's like, get paid for staying at home or go deal with bullshit that you want to deal with all day.
And that's what you're going to dwell on. You're going to dwell on that one person who, sets you off and even if you didn't do anything wrong, doesn't matter. That person brought negativity to you. You're going to dwell on that. And right. Anything good that you did is pretty much, I don't want to say, thrown out the window, but it's definitely going to take a back seat to the negative. It's nature.
It's toxic. Yeah.
It's very toxic. I mean, in an ideal world, you're not going to rid yourself of all stress and everything.
Right.
But you can always make it better for yourself. We have one life to live. There's no do-overs once that life is done. So you realize this again, You're what, 31, 32? How old are you?
He's not 32.
He's 45.
31.
31. Okay, I was right the first time.
Don't give me 32 yet.
And you're 34. Okay, so...
That's it?
Fuck you. I have hair. Yo, bastard.
Your mother.
So as you go on in years, right? Believe me, I used to sweat the small shit when I was in my 20s and 30s. Right. I don't sweat the small shit anymore. Because why?
Matter.
What does it matter? If someone pisses you off during the day or whatever, all right, next day, whatever. As time ticks on and your window gets shorter, I'm not saying that I have 2 years left or anything like that. I intend to live to 100.
Damn.
5? Come on.
All right.
Give or take.
I'll give you 6.
Thank you. The small shit doesn't matter, or matters less as time goes on. You look back on it. It's all life lessons, and again, that goes back to I was 16 years old. I was shy as hell. I don't give a shit.
That's the words to live by. Don't give a fuck.
So different ways of looking at everything you guys just said. I have 3 ways of looking at it.
Shut up. Is that one?
Fuck you, man.
Fair enough.
Interestingly, I said to my boss the other day, so I work at a summer camp, and there are tons of special needs kids, multiple disabilities, and she's in charge of all of them. And she's been doing it forever. And I said to her, I was like, with all of the all the things that are going on. I don't know how you do it. I just don't understand how you do it all. And she said to me, she was like, "It's just goes back to the old adage: you find the thing you love, and you do it." Mm-hmm. And she's like, "I've been doing it for 40 years," and she loves it. Every second of it, even the difficult parts, she loves every minute of it. Then you have Brian Dawkins, safety for the Eagles.
Holy shit, he was there.
No,
okay.
Dumb?
I thought he might have showed up.
Oh, he just works at the camp I work at.
No, he might have been. I don't fucking know.
He's got nothing else to do with it.
What were you going? How you going to Sugumi in that shit? I was in the store like,
he must. It has to do with the same thing. He doesn't work at the camp I work at.
Okay, I didn't know.
Jesus
Christmas. It was a simple question, you know.
So
see, one time he always cranky as fuck. Look at him.
You're not dumb.
I know I'm smart as shit.
You don't have to lie to him just so the camera's on.
Grumpy old man over there. That's what he is.
But so he goes. People say, you find something you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
And he goes, no, I think it's the opposite. You find something you love, you work extra hard, and you love working for that thing.
That did. I agree with that.
And then you also have, so you have Daniel Tosh, who goes, what you said, he goes, money won't buy happiness. He goes, but I've never seen anybody sad on a jet ski.
That is true. That is true.
So
that is very true.
There's a lot
of ways of looking at
it. Right. It depends on how you channel that.
It's how you prioritize.
It's how you prioritize.
But COVID definitely taught me that life is too short.
But also, I feel like
life is too short.
COVID has allowed those people to come up with those different ideas.
What do you mean?
In terms of money might make you happy. You find a thing you love, and you'll work hard for it. You find the thing you love, you never work ever. Like, I feel like it's allowed everybody the opportunity to find how they fit into their career or what career they fit into.
I'll tell you what, for me, like, when I was a kid, I didn't go on family vacation and stuff like that. Even when I worked, I didn't do, like, PTO. When I was on COVID, I traveled. Like, I went to Massachusetts, I went to Texas. I was all, like, it was great. I went to Florida, and it was, like, finally, like, it was the one time in my life I didn't have to worry about shit.
You also went to upstate New York that one time. How'd you fit in there?
I was alone.
Upstate New York, where?
It was a little. So it's Plymouth. It's near Binghamton.
Okay.
Area.
I had fun. It was fun.
Maybe 45 minutes. I think west of Cooperstown.
Do you remember when we watched?
And
remember when we went to go
see American Sniper?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we went to the theater to see it. There was 2 theaters in there. We walked in, and all the heads turned to Pat.
Yeah, like, it's deliverance country up there.
It is. There's literally like 3 black people there, and I was the third one.
I went up to Cooperstown 3 years ago.
You know, with Trevor and Poppy.
That's correct. Yeah. And it's like when you get to Cooperstown, it's this little like idyllic like setting, you know, like this little main street in the middle of like fucking nowhere.
Yep.
You know,
there's nothing around.
There's nothing around there. When you get off the thruway, it takes you like an hour and a half to go through back roads and these little hick towns to get there, and then you're there like, holy crap! Like we're finally here. How the hell do we get home from here? You know. But every single little town that you go in, it's like Gooberville. Seriously. Seriously, it's like friggin' like it's like the what's his face, Andy Griffith.
Yeah. So that and Canton, where the NFL Hall of Fame is,
right?
They are in the middle of nowhere. So they're kind of surrounded by like Akron and Cleveland a little bit, and out in Ohio for the NFL Hall of Fame. But it's not like the NBA Hall of Fame. It's in Detroit. Like you're surrounded by like a heavily populated area. Or where's the NHL Hall of Fame in Toronto?
You ever been Toronto?
No,
Canada? I have.
But whatever, it's not. Maybe even if it's not Toronto, it's a heavily populated area. It's a big city in Canada, but for whatever reason, Canton and Cooperstown decided they were going to take over these Hall of Fames, and it's a weird place.
It is. It's like, you know, you're stepping back in time or something.
Where's the strangest place you ever been? Like the
Plymouth, New York.
Yeah.
Strangest place I've ever been? Oh, that's a loaded question.
Corey told me he lived in Tallahassee.
Oh, wow.
And he drove from Tallahassee to New Orleans one day.
Ew, what?
And he drove through like Birmingham. And he's like, that's the weirdest place I've ever driven.
Really? What's weird about that?
He was like, I felt very uncomfortable. He was like, it was the whitest trash I've ever seen in my life.
I was about to say that. Hoboken was crazy weird.
Oh, Bayonne.
Bayonne. All right. Fair enough.
I was
fair enough.
Hoboken was...
Bayonne is friggin' weird. It really is. It's nestled right, Newark Airport to the west, right across the bay, Brooklyn, Staten Island, Jersey City, and then you got a little like melting pot of Bayonne.
You know what's weird? Newark. I said hi to somebody and they got mad.
He was like, "How you doing?" He was like, "Hey, why you looking at me? Hey, I'm just being fucking friendly." I was like, "Shit."
I said hi.
No, but I remember when we got on the shuttle bus. I would never forget this shit because I'm just not that one. I was sitting on a bus and this woman walks up to me. She goes like, "Damn, you're not gonna fucking move her?" I was like, "Damn, you're not gonna ask nicely? The fuck am I supposed to move?" She was like, "I was just kidding." I was like, I'm not, right? I don't know you. You're yelling in my ear and shit. But I noticed that coming from South Jersey going up, the more you go up, the meaner people are.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you get annoyed in retail, whatever.
The more
but they're
heavily
like,
populated it is.
It's. I mean, New Jersey is basically a tale of two states. There's North Jersey and there's definitely South Jersey.
It's the Dickens of states.
Exactly. And that was good.
Right?
That was good. Now I've lived up in Bayonne.
Benny's.
And Benny's the name Benny's, as you said, comes from
real quick. Where does it come from?
Bayonne, Elizabeth, Newark, and New York.
Someone told me it's because of all the hundreds they carry in their pockets.
That could be true too, but my understanding is it's an acronym for the first letters of those cities. Now, I lived in Bayonne,
bunch of assholes,
and I've lived in Brick and Tom's River. Went back up to Bayonne, and now I live in Forked River. Which once you get into the 609. Once you cross over, I mean, that's...
hold on. We're in the 609.
Right, exactly.
But we're not completely weird.
Speak for yourself.
Is Steffi weird?
No. She's the number one out of the relationship.
Steph's not weird.
I have not rubbed off on her yet.
But once you cross over... once you cross over into the 609, it's like, especially in my area, it's like freaking... It's like hillbilly country there, man. It really is.
You hear the dumbass sexual jokes he's making about your daughter?
You said it. I did not.
I block it out. Not in my daughter.
That was him. That was not me.
That was like Aunt Donna.
Oh, what about Aunt Donna?
It was Christmas Eve, and Aunt Donna asked if Steph was a virgin.
What?
A virgin. And Steph goes, "I am not a virgin." And she was like, "Oh my God, Stephanie is not a virgin anymore."
No. Did she talk about the Presbyterians who cross the street?
Not that time.
Yeah. You got to make sure that you yield to the Presbyterians, when they cross the street so you don't hit them.
The Presbyterians?
The Presbyterians, yes.
Is that a code word for someone?
It's not a code word. That's what she thinks pedestrians
she thinks they are. Okay.
Virgin is funny as shit.
Oh, she thought that Presbyterian was a word for pedestrian.
Yes.
Oh, I thought she thought...
Wow!
I thought she thought Presbyterian was a word for Jewish.
No. Nope. Nope.
Also, she doesn't think I know who she is.
She doesn't?
At the bridal shower, I walked outside.
Can we put her on the show?
Aunt Donna?
No?
I'm going to call Aunt Donna tomorrow. And I'm going to invite her to the show.
Oh, God.
I just want you to be here to...
You got to be here. You have to be here.
I have to have lunch with her first. It's been a while since I've seen her. So.
I'll have Emily invite her on.
Yeah, Emily could. Yeah, she's pretty much the only one in the family.
And if I want Ralph to come on, I'll tell Trevor.
Yes, Ralph.
No.
But so I walked outside. She's sitting on the fountain outside of the bridal shower. And I was like, hey, how you doing? Knowing full well who she was, and she was like, "You have no idea who I am, do you?" I was like, You're Aunt Donna, right? And she was like...
She was effing with you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, she didn't think I knew...
She does that to me, too, sometimes. She's my godmother. I'll go up to her and say, "Hey, Donna, how's it going?" You have no clue who I am. But she's had, like, at that point, like, 6 glasses of wine in her, so that's why she would say that.
Oh, okay.
She's also his aunt.
Yes. She's basically my second mother.
That's all right.
Is it, though?
I'm gonna call her like Antonio.
I have family that does that, but I really don't know. They're like, "Oh, when you were a baby, I changed your diapers." I was like,
"Yeah,
nice."
What?
There isn't.
How was it?
Was it stinky?
Right? I was like, I don't. They're like, "You know, I am. I know your dad." I'm like, I got nothing.
So today.
Oh, you shit yourself. Is it stinky?
That was yesterday.
That's someone else in the family we know. Anyway, go ahead.
But so I was with the camper today, and we were getting ready for a swim, so we had to change to a swimsuit.
Right.
And we walked into the bathroom, and it didn't smell good.
Oh.
And he was mostly nonverbal, and he goes, "Stinky stuff." And I was like, "Yeah,
you goddamn right."
And he would not change in there. He's like, "Nope, stinky stuff." I was like, "I don't blame you." I was like, "I don't blame you. Let's go sit on the bench."
That happened to me a couple weeks ago, man.
When I worked at Sam's Club, there was this dude. They called him Poop Man.
It was you.
No, it was not. We found out it was one of our coworkers, but dude used to take a shit.
No.
And then draw on the stalls.
Oh, wow.
And then one time he took a shit in the woman's clothing area.
What did he put, like Turk 182 or something like that?
Yo, this shit funny as hell because this girl's like walking past us and you're, "Oh my god, there's a shit in here!" I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, come to find out it was one of our coworkers.
When I went to
cocaine. It was on cocaine.
When I went to Cape May a couple weeks ago, I'm figuring, great, nice little seaside resort town and everything, but can't judge a town by their bathrooms. And I went to their public bathroom because I had to. I didn't really want to, but I had to. And I walk, go to the bathroom, and then I walk out, and then I notice as I'm like, before I get out, and I'm like getting myself together, I hear somebody come in, and they basically were like, "Oh my God!" Like that. I'm like, what the hell's going on out there?
There's a shit.
Yeah, there was. So I walk out. I walk out of the bathroom. I'm getting ready to wash my hands. I walk past the urinal. There was a huge, mammoth, chilly-looking motherfucker size shit in the urinal. Like, just there. It was like someone stuck their ass on the urinal and just, like, let loose. I guess there was only 2 stalls, so it's like...
Nah.
Well,
no.
What?
Like, even if you shit on the floor, it's bad. But
they sat in the urinal, and I swear to God, it was like a pile. It looked like fucking Dinty Moore type shit in the fucking urinal. Dinty Moore, you know what Dinty Moore is? It's that meat in the can.
Corned beef?
Yeah, it's like corned beef hash. Seriously.
Come on.
Did you get PTSD from seeing that shit?
I still got it, man. I'm taking pills. I mean, fortunately, it didn't stink or anything because I ran the fuck out of there, man.
Oh, my God. People used to do that in Wawa. I worked at Wawa in Burlington.
Oh, really?
Sneaky, chili, mammoth-looking motherfuckers.
No, they was in there. People would do cocaine. Some people were just shitting on floors, like walking out with like. I said this. I was like, this doesn't really happen in real life. This guy had toilet paper in his pants, and he just walked out. It was like going down his leg and shit. I was like,
why do people shit on floors? I mean, come on.
It's better than a urinal.
No, but
it's kind of impressive if you get to shit in a urinal.
You want to hear a good story?
I don't know. I'm scared. I'm scared.
All right, so pre-Steph.
Oh.
All right, so you know the chicken or the egg in Long Beach Island?
Yes.
Beach Haven?
I have not been there. I've heard a lot of good things
joke?
about it.
Phenomenal.
Okay.
The joke?
Right.
No. It's a restaurant called Chicken or the Egg, and they have a lot of chicken-based meals, chicken fingers, and everything. They have a bunch of different sauces. You can get any one of the sauces and on any one of the meals, like a cheesesteak or whatever it is. So, what's Adam? Who Man versus Food?
Richmond.
Adam Richmond. Yes. Yeah. So Man versus Food. He did one there where you eat these wings, and they're like these atomic wings or whatever. And I was I'm gonna go and I'm gonna eat these. I went with Adam. Shout out to Adam. And so I go down there with him and planning to spend the day down there, eat there first, and go to the beach after. And I was like, I'm gonna order 6 of these wings. And they go, you want to try some of the sauce first?
Oh, you sharted, didn't you?
So, all right, that's fine. I'll try a little bit of the sauce first. They give me a little bit on a toothpick. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's not that bad. So I order 6. Just like I planned. Nah, keep going. Keep going. Give us a minute. And so I eat a wing when they bring him. I eat a wing. I was like, not terrible. Like, it's really hot, but they don't taste great, but I'm going to keep eating them. So I eat a second one, and I'm like, no, I'm done. 30 minutes on the beach. I'm like, nah, we're done. We're going home. I put Adam in the car. I like, get the fuck in the car. We're going home. So I go home, and for months, my stomach was jacked up.
Months? Yo, you ever had to poop so bad you get a cramp in your lower back?
Yes. But I've never been able to eat hot food the same way.
Really?
After those.
Huh.
Was your ass on fire after?
Yes. Yeah. For months, I didn't have a solid poop.
Wow.
And so, a little TMI. Sorry, guys. I remember I was at a 7-Eleven.
Ew, you shit at a 7-Eleven?
No, worse than that.
Worse than that?
The person I was with was like, I really have to go. It was a female, and they were like, I need to go. So they let them go to the bathroom at 7-Eleven. I didn't say anything. I was like, nah, I can't be this. I can be like, oh, I have to go too. So I just dealt with it, and we were going to walk back to the party we were at. It hit me.
You pooped your pants, didn't you?
I did not.
I don't know. But when you said it, I don't believe it.
I found a liquor store.
You sharted it there.
And I went behind the liquor store, and I was like, I'm just going to pee, and I'm going to make it back to the house.
That's not how that works.
And
you played a dangerous game, sir.
And I poopied in a bucket behind the liquor store.
Wait, did you wipe your ass?
I found random rags behind the store.
You don't know why
you got COVID in your ass.
I have no idea.
It's probably like
you got anal COVID.
Motor oil or something.
It was so bad.
Synthetic oil in your ass, man. That's nasty.
Mobile One.
I had to take the undies off and use that as a...
Ew! That's the worst. The skin draws.
And that was the last time I ever had an episode after those wings.
Yo, you know what fucked me up? You remember when, that's a funny ass story. I don't think I could top that. But remember when Popeyes came out with the chicken sandwiches?
Yeah.
So me and Carter went, just before he was vegan, you know, he was cool. But me and Carter went to go chicken sandwich. So me and Carter used to always cook together, try different foods. So we're like, all right, we're going to get these chicken sandwiches. So I got the regular one, the spicy one. I don't know if you got both or just one. I don't remember. Did you get both or just one?
Say it out loud. Say it with your chest.
Say it with your chest. But, yeah, so I ate mine, and I go home. And my stomach is just fucked up. And I'm like, so I want to tell like, shit. So I hit him up. I was like, I hit him up and I'm like, yo, man, I'm taking a shit real bad. So he starts freaking out. He said, oh, it's going to happen to me too. Nothing happened to him. I was shit for like 4 days. Bitch. You shat like you. In a bucket. Not even shit. You shat in a bucket. I ain't never shit in a bucket, bro. Right. My back was hurting. I had to sit sideways to drive home.
Oh, like you're old.
No, I had a cramp in my back. I had a shit so bad. Old. I didn't make it. Mr. That's your new name.
Have you ever seen the show Keeping Up with Appearances?
Yes, the British show. Yes.
Yes, it was Mrs. Bouquet.
Yes.
And it was Bucket, and they were like, Mrs. Bucket, and she's like, no, it's Bouquet.
Bouquet.
Bucket.
Yo, I had a customer name. His name spelled like testicles, last name. So I was like, Mr. Testicles, I'm glad to help you. He was like, it's tasticles.
Oh, tasticles? I thought it was
no, it's not.
That's what I said. I put my phone on mute. I said, yo, I need you to come read the screen. Is this testicles?
I thought it was going to be Greek, like Testicles or something like that. Yeah.
His last name
the Greek god of balls.
So I wrote him a lot. But his name was spelled testicles, and I thought I was tripping. So you want to take a little break?
But speaking of gods,
let's take a break.
I would love to take a break.
And then we'll come back.
We'll talk about Thor real fast.
Yeah.
We're going to plug ourselves real good.
You need to get plugged because you've been shitting everywhere.
I was going to say.
Guys.
Like a bear, you got to hibernate and put plugs in your ass. I don't
know.
But talk too much. We're taking a break.
We'll be back.
Peace.
Welcome back to episode 10
of Cinema Ab.
Woo!
Sucks to this.
Woo!
This is a big 10. Episode. Let's go.
Let's get it. You know who I am, Pat on the cam.
I did a really bad Gooey
Sue. He's still Kyle.
Jesus, man.
He's still Kyle.
All right.
Father-in-law.
So, like I said earlier, Thor came out yesterday. I did say this.
Oh, you did?
Came out yesterday. Came out yesterday. By the time Pat edits this, it'll have been out for months.
Whoopee!
So,
keep it up. I'm doing it
Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm going to do my best not to spoil. We will let you know if there's a spoiler coming. So,
go ahead, do your thing.
Just
Let's keep going. This isn't for you. Not yet.
All right. Thor: Love and Thunder. It's the 4th installment of the Thor series, directed by Taika Waititi, starring...
Did you say tackle my titty? What did you say?
Jesus Christ. This is not me. Taika Waititi. That's his name. Jesus. I can't hang with these people.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hey. If you offered it, I might take it.
Oh, episode 10 getting spicy.
Alright, so Jesus, man.
Right there,
Spit it out already. Spit it out. Jesus.
The 4th installment of the Thor series. This is the 2nd installment, directed by Taika Waititi. Shut up. That is his name. You're fucked up. That's his name.
I swear he said Taika Waititi.
Chris
I'm sorry.
Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, Tessa Thompson, and Taika Waititi. Alright, so Gore.
Oh, God.
I hate you so much.
Is that him, though? Is that the dude? No, never mind. Go ahead. Never mind.
So
continue.
Gore, the God Killer, is the main antagonist. What is wrong with you?
You do your thing. Main antagonist. Take with titties. Go ahead. You got it.
Alright. Review. I'm not going to do anything else except review because you suck at this.
Okay. You don't watch movies, so how do you do it?
I have had so much caffeine. I can't even control myself.
Your eyes are wide and shit.
They are wide. I was going to say.
Please, like donuts. You good over there?
Alright, so Thor: Love and Thunder, 4th installment of the Thor series. It's the shortest of the Thor series at about an hour and 58 minutes. It covers a lot of ground. So it goes to different worlds and... What face are you making at me?
Look, man, just keep going on. I'm just looking at you.
It's not a bad movie at all.
Uh-huh.
But it's very fast-paced. It goes from world to world to world, and
I didn't know nothing about the worlds of the You're doing too much.
No, it's not a spoiler at all.
Okay.
It doesn't give anything away. So it doesn't develop anything in each of the worlds. It's tough to develop an antagonist. It's tough to even develop a protagonist, considering how fast it moves. And in the grand scheme of the MCU, it's a very average film. I give it an 8 out of 10.
Alright, if you had to compare between that and, what is it called?
Multiverse of Madness?
No. Eternals. What would you say is better or worse?
I gave it about the same rating, but I think Thor was a little bit better.
You know what Thor movie sucked? Dark Elves.
Yeah. Dark World sucks in the grand scheme of things, but so Thor: Love and Thunder, because they have more developed characters, it works better in the grand scheme of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
But Eternals tries really hard to incorporate 10 or 12 new characters into everything.
What's going on?
There's a lot going on.
It's almost as bad as Batman or Superman. That shit was trash.
Oh my god! Don't get me started. We don't have time for that.
Real quick, small thing. All I'm gonna say is this. You know how, like, when you're in school or whatever, you're like, hey, here is your homework. This is in the beginning of the semester, your syllabus, right?
Yep.
So it's like, all right, at the end of the semester, this is your capstone, your project, right? Marvel, it's like, all right, cool, we're gonna start this like this. Fucking DC is like, oh shit, we got 2 weeks left. Let's just cram everything all together. I was like, why do y'all? Their animations are great.
All the time.
Every fucking time.
For every project, it's very rushed. But the rushed MCU projects are more developed, I feel like. Mm-hmm. So I saw a meme earlier. They're like, take MCU down while like they're low. So between the last Doctor Strange and Thor, they've got very low ratings. Mm-hmm. They're like, take them down now. But realistically, the MCU has developed a better overall series and
like
universe, and like Miss Marvel is a nothing in the grand scheme of things, but it's very well done. Has Amy watched that yet?
She has not watched that.
I love it.
She would like that a lot, I think.
It's really awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Like how they hit the different cultures and all that. Everything.
It's very well done. I talked to someone about Moon Knight compared to that. Somebody liked Moon Knight better than that.
Moon Knight was dry into the end.
Moon Knight was very dry, and I felt like there was a piece between like 2 and 4, the episodes, that they raised more questions than answers, and it was wasted time. Whereas Ms. Marvel is constantly answering the questions they're raising. It's constantly like driving towards something specific, and that's why I like that show so much, is because they're constantly adding to the character. They're constantly adding to the story.
Plus, I love her character. Like the girl who's playing Ms. Marvel, that's pretty much how she acts in real life. She's like a fan girl,
right?
And she was like, "Oh my God, this is a character that represents me. This is great." And I've always been a fan. So I was in high school. I was just like her. People thought it was weird. So it was like, you're playing the exact character you are in real life, which is awesome. And this is her first role. So
it is. It's her first ever acting role.
And she's doing great. The whole cast is great.
It's very good. Like Carter has expressed that he knows a guy that plays Bruno from Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. He's very, very good. He's a very dramatic actor, and he finds himself in a role that's supplementary to the main actor, which is similar to Walking Dead, but less dramatic and sort of comedic, and he's expected to support that actor, the main actor, entirely throughout the course of the series. And does a very good job of doing.
Do y'all prefer actors like that, or very like over
So,
top,
I mean, it depends on the actor. I mean, you have actors that are obviously the leads, you have actors that are obviously the supplementary characters, and he does a very good job of being that supplementary character. But he, I think, has the potential to be a lead at some point, but in the MCU, I feel like he's sort of found his niche at being the supplementary character, the secondary character, and he supports her very well. Okay. Because she's a very dominant character.
So, you know how we have, like, Leonardo DiCaprio and everything, so is there any actor in this generation or genre, or in general, that you think will be the next Leonardo DiCaprio and the next Denzel Washington?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
For me, one of them is, I don't know if you've seen Gotham or not, but the kid who plays the Joker, Jerome, he is phenomenal. He's also in Shameless.
He's also Shameless.
He's great.
I can't think of his name, but one that comes to mind, and it's because people are pushing him, is Timothée Chalamet. He's a big name. He was in Dune.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
He was in. I can't think of the name of the show or the name of the movie. Oh man, it was a big name show. Songbird, was that his name? Songbird, not Songbird.
Yeah, I think so.
Ladybird. That was the name. He was in that. He was in Dune, and he's very quickly become like a heartthrob and that type of character. Excuse me.
The ladies love him.
Yes. He was one of the people that Regina Hall pulled on stage, like during the Oscars, and he's like a big deal now. Austin Butler is a new one. Austin Butler played Elvis in.
He's doing it in a new movie.
I haven't seen it yet, but it looks phenomenal. I love Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
I have to say, like, Miles Teller, I think, is another actor. Like, again, I was very impressed, with The Offer and his role in it.
So back to, like, The Godfather, the fact that they've inspired an entire series based on that is incredible.
Yeah, I was kind of, like, intrigued by it. Just like, oh, okay, here's a series about the backstory of the making of The Godfather.
Right.
And I was thinking, all right, it sounds interesting, but I don't know if it could, like, really grab me for, like, I don't know, was it 10 episodes or whatever. Yeah. After watching the first episode, I mean, you're drawn into it. You're drawn into, like, the the back characters, and you know Francis Ford Coppola and Albert Ruddy, and like just getting to like know how they operate and how big of a risk it was to really get that film funded, because like again at that time, who was going to want to do a mafia film that wasn't again like the Al Capone type films, the hey copper, all that stuff, that actually like dug into the true mafia underworld. I mean, the story about Mario Puzo, who wrote the book, who was basically kind of, I don't want to say like a failed writer or anything like that, but he was looking for that big break, and then his wife was telling him, just write what you know about, like write this story about your childhood and these characters that you grew up with. And so he just sat down, wrote The Godfather, and the novel sold like crazy, and then they picked up on it for like the film rights and everything. Once word got to Frank Sinatra about it, there was that run-in between Mario Puzo and Sinatra at a restaurant, and Sinatra he was totally like objecting to it because he thought it was putting the mafia in a bad name. So just like those little backstories about it was just fascinating. That wow, like I didn't realize that story really could kind of grab you like that.
Yeah. But like you said, it opened up different opportunities and doors for other mob kind of movies. Like Departed is one of them. Yeah. I love The Departed.
Departed is a big one.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other ones.
Well, you got
Scarface.
You had Goodfellas. You had Scarface.
Yeah,
Scarface was like immediately after.
I like one, but I don't think you can put them in the same category because it's different. But I like. You ever seen Four Brothers?
Yeah.
That's
not that far different. Yeah.
Like
I would count that.
Yeah, that was great.
Like, so I think like a movie like a lot of it obviously, and they're all like glamorized and whatnot of what like the the mafia is and everything. I think the one that kind of really is kind of true to, and a lot of it really comes down to true stories about it, just like the names and and the characters are slightly changed, was really Goodfellas. Because again, like growing up, you're aware, if you didn't know of people who were like that, you were aware, and those people were like really the characters that were playing in movies. There were people who were really like that. The Johnny Roast Beefs and the Tommy DeSimones and whatnot. I mean that these were people that you've like you know what, he reminds me of somebody. He reminds me of like Uncle somebody, or like or so on and so forth. So it was like very, very realistic, kind of like hit home to a in which like even The Godfather is kind of like very glamorized.
But it sort of led into like the Sopranos type thing that's often considered like the best television show of all time. It was like the height of HBO. It was the height of the mob or the mafia type thing, and listening to the kids that played like Meadow and AJ, they talk about being on the show, and they're like, we acted with these phenomenal actors, and they were sort of affiliated with the mob and the mafia, and it was like as glamorized as it was very real.
It was very real. I mean, Tony Soprano is like a great example. Closing my eyes and listening to him speak reminds me of somebody I know very well in my family.
Okay.
Just it's the same. And again, New Jersey guy. I mean, it's you close your eyes and like I know people like that. It's like very real. Not even necessarily the whole mafia thing. But just the characters, the types of people that that are in and out of the show that are kind of like a little bit larger than life. And I think that's the realism of that show, of the characters. I mean, there's a reason why Gandolfini won an Emmy or two for it, because they all did a phenomenal job on that show.
You can see a very clear difference between the pilot and every other episode with Gandolfini. They talked about how he went to like a dialect coach and dealt with all that kind of stuff, and he changed drastically from that first episode to everything else, and it was an incredible difference.
He was spot on with that. Yes. Absolutely spot on.
That's like you were saying before, how it branched off for different things. Like that show of what's his name, Forrest Whitaker, something of Harlem. Is it King of Harlem or?
Yeah, something like
that. You know what I'm talking about? Well, the dude Bumpy Johnson or whatever. That whole story. And even in The Simpsons, they got the mafia or whatever, Fat Tony and all them. And it's just crazy, how like in every genre or different whatever it is, like it can be a small episode, but it's something that relates to it. You guys ever seen Gangs of New York?
Yeah,
I love that movie. It's
a great movie.
Yeah. That was great. Yeah.
But that's another one that I don't think would have existed without the Godfather type movies.
Yeah.
I think that people were very scared to make movies like that. Maybe scared is not the right word, but they were reluctant to make movies like that because they weren't sure how audiences would react to it. And the Godfather and that whole series, and then Scarface eventually kind of ushered this new genre in, and they did a very good job of like the Scarface and and everything that followed. Yeah. You had the Bonnie and Clydes that were sort of the gangster type movies, but they were very reluctant to be the gangster type movies.
Yeah,
they were a couple that committed crimes, and they kind of separated from the gangsters. They just kind of were their own thing.
Did you see the new one?
I have not seen the new one.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good. You should watch it.
But it was like Paul said, they had the Al Capone thing, and that was kind of the mainstream thing for the mafia and the mob, and it wasn't until, was it like 82, was that right? 72, 82? For the Godfather?
72.
72.
Yeah.
Where they really kind of shifted and allowed those things to be mainstream. And it like not finally, but finally they allowed these things to become mainstream and let them into cinema, and people got to see the reality of the mafia and the mob. And
I think it was just the era of it, because that was in like the heart of what they called the New Hollywood.
Yeah.
Right. So it was the New Hollywood was basically the director based movies as opposed to the studio.
Yeah.
It kind of got that shift away from the big grand productions of the musicals and stuff like the Ten Commandments that was basically backed by the studio, and then it was more towards like the director, the screenwriter and their story. So there was more realism that came into the movie. So when you got to The Godfather, that was probably that movie as far as like the gangster movies was the first real type that was not overly romanticized like the old Hollywood, So you had that, and you had Mean Streets, and then you had like all Scorsese's movies, Taxi Driver, like the realism of everyday city life, this is a slice of this period of time in New York City or Las Vegas or what have you.
Like you said, like the Ten Commandments, like the difference is you have Robert Redford driving this film, the actor compared to a writer/director.
Right.
It was an entirely different group of people now driving this film forward, and it was the first time maybe ever that they really had the opportunity to create a film and have full control of that film. And Coppola had the opportunity to just be the head,
right,
instead of the actor being the head. But they also had the opportunity to have people like James Caan to drive a film forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, are we dead now in the water?
No, I'm just thinking about it. It's just really cool how like there's certain time frames or certain genres of movies that happen that just brought us here. Like it is crazy because it's like it doesn't even have to be the exact same thing. Like you were saying now, there's like okay, this is like a day in New York or whatever. Like I don't know if you guys see the movie Do the Right Thing with Spike Lee.
Mm-hmm. Heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, that was another.
That's a great example.
Yeah, and it's just like I love movies where it's like I walk down the street or I lived here or whatever, or I have somebody in my family like that. Like it makes it more real,
That's the important thing. I have a student who has family in Jersey City, and he was super excited to see Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
Because like you gotta watch this. I was like, it takes place in Jersey City. He's like, oh my god, like I gotta watch this. I can figure out where my dad lives and my grandmother lives.
Yeah, that's how the first Prisoner of Air was. It's a Philly, and my boy was like, "Oh man, I live off this street." I'm like,
right.
Case in point for me, War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise was filmed. Was filmed in Bayonne, right? So
was it? I didn't know.
Oh that. yeah. The Bayonne Bridge blew up, right? Okay. So like I'm watching a movie. They filled it all downtown, like pretty much about maybe a quarter of a mile from where I was living. So. The funny thing is watching a movie, you know where exactly everything is, and then like if you see this one building there that's obviously like maybe like CGI'd in or something like that, it's like that's not there. That's some other building, right? And then like you're watching it, like the aliens blow up the Bayonne Bridge, and like oh Jesus Christ, like and then that like right by that is the starting point, right? So the starting point, one of my favorite bar restaurants in Bayonne, literally at the foot of the bridge. So the Bayonne Bridge blows up. Well, the starting point is gone. One of my favorite restaurants is the aliens blew it up.
Well, damn,
you're like
right?
Son of a bitch.
It gets
worse. Did you get a meal before it blew up?
It gets worse than that, right? So part of that movie was also shot in Newark.
Yep.
On Market Street, like where that church is, right down the street from Iberia, one of my favorite restaurants. Aliens blew that up too. Like I can't go to Iberia.
Motherfuckers.
Aliens blew up two of my favorite restaurants.
Just like us.
Sons of bitches.
Like Dark Knight. That was filmed in Newark and then also Pittsburgh.
So, knowing the area very well, does it take away from the film? Knowing they blew up my favorite restaurant,
like you mad?
Knowing they didn't really.
It makes me scrutinize more because it's like, and I know, like I have to realize, this is a movie. It's a fantasy. They're going to put in things that are like not really from there and all that.
Restaurants up, man.
Can you suspend that disbelief enough to accept the film?
Two. It depends. It really depends. Like it wasn't bad enough in War of the Worlds to be like, all right, this is like really just not all Bayonne or whatever like that, But sometimes, I mean, there's other movies in which are filmed pretty locally. That there's plenty of. I mean, Bayonne is like one example because there's actually been quite a few movies that were filmed in Bayonne, and then you're like, oh yeah, I recognize that place, and then other things, it's like, where the hell is this? So, right. I guess to some extent, like, it sometimes it's tough to kind of if it actually literally touches home to you, it's kind of hard to suspend that belief sometimes, If it's somewhere that, I'm not familiar with, it doesn't matter to me one bit. Or maybe New York is a good example, too, because New York's so varied in New York. Like, it could be...
Godzilla blown up shit.
Exactly.
Gojira?
Who?
Gojira, that's the name of Godzilla.
They can just put out your ass.
That's a real thing. In Japanese, it's Gojira.
Okay, I see what you're... Yeah, I got you.
But then, like, they were super racist in the American version. They're like, Gaiaka.
Yes! I remember that shit. They're like, Gaiaka, it's Godzilla. I was like, that's fucked up, dog.
But so, like, in Japanese, like, Gojira is Godzilla. And that's just what it is.
I really forgot about that until you said that shit. Gaiaka.
But we went back to the Rush Hour thing. It was Chris Tucker on the plane. He was like, go Gaiaka. Like...
Shishini?
Gefilte fish.
No, one of Carter's favorite parts is they were doing the karaoke. Look, you about to lose his shit. And
make him laugh. Come on, man.
He says something, and then Jackie Chan translate. He was like, "You just told them to pull out the samurai swords and shave their butts." He's like, "I said that." That shit, like, I love Rush Hour. Supposedly they're making another one.
They've said that for 100 years.
I heard that too. Yeah.
My whole thing is like, is there any movies that you feel like just stop making more of them? Like, there's like, I know we talked about Fast and Furious.
They should or they have.
Either or. Is there one movie you say, hey, you should make this? Or is there another one where you're like, don't make this? Oh, somebody got something over there. Somebody off camera got a...
All right, well, let's just cut it off. Steffi's not
Yes, I agree. Toy Story. Enough is enough.
Stop made them.
Interestingly, I would have said that at 2 and 3, but 2. At 4, phenomenal.
I want to see a Buzz Lightyear. That's what I want to see. That shit.
Have you seen it yet? You haven't seen it? Have you seen it yet? Have you seen?
Nope.
I want to see it. We've heard nothing but bad things, but we were at
But that's the thing about movies. Everybody has an opinion.
No, fair. Exactly. But we were at Gideon's in Disney Springs, and we got to the register. I don't know why she said it, but the cashier was like, "Have you seen Buzz Lightyear?" And we were like, "No." She's like, "It's phenomenal. It's a great movie." She was like, "I love it so much. I want to see a sequel to it." And I was like, wow.
We'll see what happens.
Like, honestly, that's a very different take than what everyone else has said about it.
Well, that's why I like movies, because it's like some people will be like...
It's very subjective.
Right, it's art in general, but some people will be like... What gets me is how some people will read a review, and because, like let's say you were like, oh, I give this like 5 out of 10 or whatever, people would just go off of what you say instead of going on and find out their own. I don't want to be like, I'll read the reviews, and I'm like, okay, that's Kyle's opinion, that's dope. Let me go watch it and see what he's talking about.
You like Birdemic?
No, he likes Birdemic. We talked about this
Emily loves Birdemic.
Seriously?
Yes.
I mean, it's a great movie. That's what I heard.
She likes it because it's very left of center. It's very different. And she
messaged the guy.
She messaged the guy, and honestly, he probably wanted to get some. If I'm being honest with you, I think he was like lackluster and like he's hard up for everything.
I want to meet him. Because I have a couple.
No, I would 100% have him on here.
If we can, that'd be great. I just want to pick his brain as far as
he's like very West Coast, like LA type area. But if he wanted to come out here,
I'm
not paying for him to come out here. But if he wants to come out here,
like realistically, I just want to, because I do movie stuff like this. I just want to pick his brain, like ask him like what made you go this route,
right?
Because I just think it's cool how like. Any views at all is good for you. You know what I mean? Like if someone's like, "Yo, this movie was trash," you still got the views.
And any publicity is good publicity.
That's what they say. So I just want to be like, how did you feel if a majority? Well, I can't say majority. I don't know. If a percentage of people said this movie was bad, like, did you feel like you hit your mark, or what was your goal on that?
You make a movie and 1% of people say it's good. What do you think?
So you can't ask me that question because I'm the kind of person, if I make a movie, if I like it, that's all that matters to me.
Okay.
Right.
That's just me
Imagine
personally.
you're like, I just fucking made this and it happened, whatever. 1% of people say it's good. You happy with that?
You said it was good. That's all. I got somebody said it's good. That's how I feel.
That's fine. That's okay with me. That's how I review films where like these very indie films. If some of these indie films are making it just to make it.
Yeah.
Like, they're very passionate about the subject, they're very passionate about the project in general. If somebody likes it, even if it's one person, that's okay.
That's how, like when I do my TikToks before, I was like, oh, I need views. Now, I don't care. I do it for me, because it's like, it helps me keep sharp on my
And also, nobody wants to look at Pat.
First off, if you go to my TikTok page, I have a lot of views.
Yeah, 12 is not a lot, Pat.
That's way more than 12, buddy.
It's all right.
I even had people ask me, 13. Like, when are you making another video and shit like that? But it's funny because, like, you don't think people are really paying... I don't think people are paying attention to me. Until I go somewhere, someone's like, oh, that video was funny as shit. You made that video. I'm like, you watch my TikToks? You know what I mean? Like...
All right, let's make the most viral video tonight.
You can't really make a viral video. It happens.
What do we have to say to make it?
You're ugly, probably. You, Kyle, is ugly.
We all know that Pat's ugly.
We can make it happen. Put a hashtag.
Your mother?
I wonder if your mom is a hashtag that will, like, go viral.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
That's what she said.
But, yeah, it's
always a classic.
Yeah. See what happens.
But it's a really good episode. We'll come back and
plug ourselves.
Plug the shit out of ourselves.
You always gotta think.
Always comes back to that.
Right? Penis over here.
Again.
Pat likes penis.
We'll be right back, though.
He likes penis.
Apparently I like paper.
Penis!
Hey! It's episode 10 of Cinema Ave.
Whoop whoop.
Shut up, Pat.
Fuck you.
We're gonna plug ourselves. So make sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, my website, and TikTok at Baines Film Reviews. That's Baines Film Reviews. You can find me on Twitter at Baines Film Review, because Twitter, I don't understand any of your nonsense. You don't have enough you don't have enough characters for an S. One review, Baines Film Review. You can also find me at Film Thread. You can just Google Kyle Bain and Film Thread. You'll find all my stuff. So again, that's for Facebook, my website. Shut up, Pat.
When you Google
TikTok and Instagram, that's Bane's Film Reviews. On Twitter, Bane's Film Reviews, because... And you can Google me at Film Threat and Kyle Bane. You'll find my stuff. Also, check out Pat if you're bored.
If you Google Kyle Bane, make sure you go to Images and watch this ugly-ass picture pop up. Nah, I'm fucking with you. Episode 10, guys. Alright, so as you know, you can see me on Facebook, Patrick Newell. We can go to Instagram, which is Pat on the Cam. Spell it out for him. Let him know what it is. Say it with your chest.
That's Pat on the Cam. P-A-T-O-N-D-A-C-A-M. Pat on the Cam.
Right, same thing for TikTok. Say it again. Tell him. Let him know.
I'm not doing it.
Do it a motherfucking time. Say it with your motherfucking chest. Oh, yeah, you got to tell the Cinema Ave one, too. Did you tell them about that one?
I didn't. So you can follow us on the Cinema Ave. Go to TikTok. That's Cinema Ave 1. Cinema Ave and the number 1. On TikTok, you can also send us reviews, comments, questions. Tell Pat he's ugly as fuck. We all know it.
Yeah, we can lie if you want to.
Cinema Ave and the number 1
dead sexy.
at Gmail. Shut up.
I am the shit.
Shut up. Cinema Ave and the number 1 at gmail.com. I love that he put the number 1 up because he wants people to tell him how ugly he is.
I don't think that's why I put it up, but yeah, that's what makes you sleep at night. Go for it. You prick.
This is Paul. You want people to follow you on stuff?
The only way you can follow me is on Facebook. So Paul Solan. Well, that's about it. I don't do Twitter. I don't do Instagram. I don't do any of that stuff. So, but anyway, I want to thank both you, Kyle, and Pat for having me on your show.
Absolutely.
This was a great experience. I'd love to do this again.
Man.
Better than this? Okay.
Yeah. Hands across America.
Hands across America.
Grady would like to thank you. Grady Wilson from Sanford and Son.
Gobbledygook.
Good gobbledygook.
Yo,
come on, Fred.
Oh, what's a big one?
But again, if you want Paul to come back, check us out on Cinema Ave.
I want him to come back. He did great.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm just being honest. I want him to come back. You're so mean.
Nobody wants you to come back.
Well, I'm co-host, bitch.
Tell him to quit. We don't want him. But that is episode 10 of Cinema Ave. We're so glad to have you guys here for 10 episodes. Pat's terrible at editing. You've hung in for like 8 or 10 months at this point. Good for you guys.
Your head looks like a testicle.
Testicles.
Plural. Learn how to speak.
It's testicles.
The phonics. But we love you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We love you. Peace.
Peace.